gathered Pog. And I'd like to welcome all of you here today. Um, uh, I guess I saved my talk about who I am for now, so I'm going to go ahead and just do that. I was born in Stoughton. My family is considered the first family of Stoughton and Canton. Those of you from the area may be familiar with the indigenous surname Crowd. My ancestors were removed from their home in Totant, Shawmut, Neponset, Mosswatuset, Passnegesit, all what is now Boston, Dorchester, Quincy area in the mid 17th century and relegated to an Indian praying town at Ponkapog, which is now Canton and Stoughton. I grew up on the south side of Brockton. I can trace my Moho Momentog family line through historical writings, documents, and Indian census back to before this place was colonized by the English. I've been working with and consulting for the Neponset River Watershed Association to bring Indigenous culture, history, and education to the public through the organization for the last 3 or 4 years. And that all said, now I would like to read the Neponset River Watersheds Association's Indigenous Land Acknowledgement, which is currently a work in progress. We stand now on the unceded land of the Massachusetts people. We acknowledge and honor the indigenous communities who have nurtured the land and waters of the Neponset River watershed for at least 10,000 years. The Neponset River Watershed Association falls within the traditional and ancestral homeland of the Massachusetts Tribal Confederation, who share stewardship currently with their sister tribes of the Nipmuc and Wampanoag people. Our use and enjoyment of this area today is connected with their stewardship of it for millennia and the history of their forced separation from their traditional homeland through colonization. Like I said, that is currently a work in progress that I'm told will be elaborated on sometime in the near future. So tonight, I'd like to use some of the time this evening to talk about some of the ways that my ancestors practiced climate resiliency. And my hope is that this group will take away something from what I say tonight that will inspire us to perceive and interact with our environment in a more meaningful way. First, I just want to take a few minutes to talk about the word Massachusetts. So the word Massachusetts is not a word. It's actually a 3-word topographical description. Massa translates to big, large, or great. Achu translates to hill or mound. And set translates to place. And these 3 words put together describe place of the great hill. The Massachusetts are the tribe of indigenous peoples from whom the colony, the province, and the Commonwealth have taken their name. The current day Massachusetts tribe has taken its name back from the Commonwealth, as is said and spelled today, in order for people to understand the correlation between the once mighty indigenous tribal nation of the Massachusetts and the name that the Commonwealth appropriated from them. The place of the Great Hill is referring to the Great Blue Hill of Milton, which is the highest point in the greater Boston area. This was also the winter seat of Chickatawbut, and the hill the Neponset band of Massachusetts would seasonally migrate back and forth over. During warm weather, being on the coast, harbor and harbor islands, then moving inland back over the Great Blue Hill to our wintering grounds at Ponkapog. The act of migrating seasonally was a way of living sustainable lifeways that would take into consideration our symbolic relationship with our environment. During the summer, the area being occupied would change every year. Mosswatuset, Passnegesit, Shawmut, the locations would change so as not to burden the land by way of overuse. Indigenous communities through the span of generations would create and maintain food forests. They would use fire to responsibly control the growth of underbrush in these forests, releasing nutrients like phosphorus, potassium, and calcium back into the soil from these controlled burns, making them immediately available to support healthier growth of the food plants being cultivated there by the indigenous people, rather than waiting years for decomposition. These food forests that had been maintained by the indigenous peoples for millennia abruptly came to an end with English occupation. When the English Puritans first arrived here, they were a trading company who later obtained a charter from the king to grow into a colony. That did not, however, negate their first priority to systematically extract the natural resources of the New World for financial gain. England at the time had been all but completely deforested due to the overuse of trees as fuel, timber, ships, homes, barns, palisades, carts, carriages, and other structures. It was England's main resource until it was depleted. It was used in the production of most things. And the first order of business for the Massachusetts Bay Trading Company was to export the New World's old growth trees to Europe and European colonies. The English traders became so wealthy that they were referred to as merchant princes. This is why, to this day, save for the safety of an arboretum, you'll be hard-pressed to find an old-growth tree in Massachusetts. The misuse and exploitation of land and natural resources in Massachusetts is part and parcel of the dubious ethics this country was founded on. In stark contrast, my ancestors would find more than one use for most things. They would honor the resources they harvested by very intentionally making sure none of it went to waste, which in turn ensured that the longevity of these resources to be available for at least 7 generations to come. In a few months, the season will change. Herring, both blueback and alewife, will begin to move from the open ocean to inland rivers and streams via Boston Harbor in the early spring. The seasonal migration of the Massachusetts tribe prior to English colonization coincided with their arrival. Indigenous communities would begin moving their inland communal winter homes to their summer homes on the coast. The women erect their witu, or summer homes, and collect cattails to weave reed mats to cover the cedar sapling frames of their shelters. The women collect cattails from the salt marshes. This activity churns the muddy waters, where the cattails grow as they are collected. This massive collection effort aerates the water and renews the habitat where the plants are removed, promoting new growth that will sustain future generations. Families work together to construct fish weirs in the many estuaries connecting the harbor to rivers like the Mississauga, the Mystic, or the Charles, and the Neponset. This age-old tradition allows for the passive collection of Manawatoga, one who enriches the earth. These are some of the first herring caught in the fish weirs, used to fertilize the planting fields just prior to sowing seed. The herring that elude the elaborate fish traps of the local indigenous continue their ancient tradition upriver to spawn. When the English first arrived on the shores of the Massachusetts, they witnessed the indigenous people interring small fish and what was left after processing larger fish into their vast planting fields in a ceremonial way. They believed it to be a waste of time and believed we mismanaged our resources and time. This practice, however, utilized what the English would disregard to fertilize and fortify the soil. They understood that when you give to the earth, it returns your offering in kind with a bountiful harvest. Those kinds of connections are part of what makes Aboriginal peoples one with their ancestral lands. There is no such thing as owning land that you lived on permanently. When the people move, Mother Nature has an opportunity to reclaim the area where they were. If the people don't move fast enough, our great mother might even give them a motivating nudge. Staying in one place for too long, believing you have more control over that space than the eternal mother, is a fallacy of the current dominant culture. Our great mother restores the balance at her discretion, not ours. The children learn to move out of the way when she is at work. Grandparents revisiting a place their parents made camp when they were children find land where the water once was and create a garden. They find water where the land once was and erect a fish weir. We consume of the land, and it is inside of us and within us. When we are laid to rest, the land consumes us, and we are one once again. The waters run their course through each of us, from the ocean, from ponds and rivers. We are all familiar. We are all related. We are all born of land. Oh, I'm sorry. We are all born of and play our roles as part of one eternal organism called Earth. If we poison the water, we poison ourselves when we consume it. When we poison the air, we poison ourselves when we consume it. When we poison the land, we poison ourselves through what we consume of it. In the vast, infinite, inhospitable darkness of space, there is but one small speck of green and blue that can safely sustain our species. She does not need us, but we very much need her. We must show our appreciation by adopting more sustainable lifeways and protecting the balance of all life on this planet, not just ours. We can begin by adopting the understanding that everything that exists has just as much right to exist as we do. We must learn to respect and honor this sacred truth. It begins with us and groups like us uniting, supporting, and acting. Thank you all for listening to what I had to say. And I hope that every one of you found something in what I said inspiring or in some way able to help you come up with better ways to be better stewards for the environment and communities that you live in. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Thomas. That was so inspiring and just wisdom filled. Really appreciate that. Wow. Um, really does take my breath away. So thank you for launching us with that inspiration and that wisdom and the importance of appreciating what has come before
And,
us. And
and I just want to bring up that something that most indigenous peoples worldwide have always had an understanding of, because we treat everything as our relations the same, as it's a life force that needs to be respected and honored. But trees and plants, science is now showing that through different mold and spores, connecting trees roots, they communicate with each other, and not only communicate but are able to sustain each other. And this is proven very simply. If any one of you want to take a walk in the woods and you come across a tree stump, and you'll notice that that tree stump is not decaying, it's not dried out, maybe a tree stump, but is very much still alive. And the reasons it's still alive is because its neighbors are supplying sustenance to it through its roots. We're all connected in this way through energy that we can't see and perceive, and we're actually taught, believe it or not, to ignore. Um, but just keep in mind, we're all connected, and whatever we do is going to affect our environment, everything and everyone around us. And whether it's good or bad, it's going to come back to us through those connections.
grateful for you. Thank you so much. Yeah, through other efforts and all, we hope to bring some more learning and workshops with Thomas in our region. So hopefully, we're going to work on some really interesting things together. We're excited. Thank you so much. Excellent. Well, with that, we're going to move on to Carrie Snyder, our Director of Resilience at NEPRA. And give
Thank
you,
you. Although I don't think it's fair that I should have to
I
follow
know,
that.
I'm sorry, but it is what it
That was
is.
what that was quite inspirational. All right, I'm going to share my screen here. All right, are you seeing slides?
Yes.
Are you seeing a slide now, or are you seeing my
Yes, the slide.
great? All right. Let me. So this is just a brief overview of what we hope to get through today and get you out of here on time. We've already done our introductions. So right now I'm going to just briefly describe sort of the big picture of this project, and some things that we'll be talking to you about. So this is a big project. It's region wide, it's watershed wide, um, and we are partnering with community members, with municipal staff, and leaders. The town of Canton is serving as our fiscal agent, which is fantastic. The project is funded through the Municipal Vulnerability Preparedness Program run by the state of Massachusetts. Um, and then we have our technical project team of the Metropolitan Area Planning Council, Weston and Sampson, and us, NEPRA. So communities taking action. So this project has several different components, and this is phase 3 of our watershed-wide project. We are entering year 3, I believe. Sorry, year 4. So we are trying to do robust community engagement, and thank you all for participating in this action team. I'm really excited to see what we can accomplish, what we can learn from each other. Um, in phase 1, we developed a flood model. So we are continuing to enhance that. And this over the course of phase 3, we're going to incorporate heat data so we can sort of overlay where the highest flood risk is and where the highest heat island impacts are, and see if we can't come up with some prioritization and some green infrastructure that can help there. Once we have those priority areas, we'll come up with some concept designs. We've also, over the last couple of years, worked with the municipalities to come up with a collaborative. They're not, municipalities are not sort of geared to work across town lines. They very much stay within their own boundaries. So we have facilitated the towns across the watershed to work together and to identify shared priorities when it comes to building climate resilience. And we have also worked with the community, and you are here in our action team. So we're hoping to merge those two together and get you all talking together. So I'm not going to go into detail about the work plan that the communities developed over the course of the last 2 years. But if you follow this QR code or you visit our project website, you can go through that. But essentially, it serves as a roadmap to identify sort of successive steps to actually implement some of these priorities. And we're going to be working with them over the course of the next year and a half to implement some of their policy updates to guide growth and restoration for community resilience. And then there's you, the community action team. So we started off with an advisory group the last 2 years, and now we wanted to bring you together as an action team to really learn from one another and to figure out, how you might want to lead your communities. There are all sorts of these priorities in the work plan, but we want to make sure that whatever municipalities are implementing are reflective of what the community needs. I apologize for my dogs. They're very excited about something. Concurrently, we would like to invite you or people from your networks to join us as community liaisons over the next 2 years. We've got one. Jessica is going to join us as a community liaison for this fiscal year. But we are looking for, 2 to 3 others who might want to put on 2 to 3 events over the course of the next couple of months before the end of June. And we'll be looking for another 1 to 4 community liaisons for the next fiscal year through June of 2027. And really, we're looking for people to be creative and host events that reflect their community, that reflect their priorities when you think about community resilience. And we encourage you to work with other groups, other individuals. It's really quite flexible. I have some examples of some events that might fit with this community liaison. Um, and importantly, this is a funded position, so we are not asking you to volunteer to host these events. We are hoping to recruit you, to help you plan, and to support you along the way, both financially and with training, so that your events can be successful, and can be replicated. So after these events, we'd love to have you come back and join this group, the action team, to talk about your events, the lessons learned, and help the next group of community liaisons come along and develop their own community events. This QR code will take you directly to the community liaison fact sheet. But I would like to pause here to ask if there are any questions about this position. There's funding available for room rentals and food and translations and interpretation. So I don't know if any of your organizations are already planning some community events that might bring people together with nature, or raise awareness about climate change or climate resilience, or if this is of interest to anybody who might be here. And again, I don't want to put anybody on the spot. You don't have to come forward now, but we are looking for people to sign up by February 18th, or end of the day, February 17th, so that we can identify people by the 18th, because we do want to start having our planning meetings and get people set for some spring events. So again, I'll pause here and ask if anybody has any questions.
I see Thomas has his hand raised, Gary.
Great. Thomas, you can come off mute. And I apologize, I can't really see the
No, I know.
chat.
That's fine.
So, when you were speaking, I actually have an initiative that immediately came to mind. My tribe is a small tribe with an even smaller group of folks that actually do public engagement. So it's hard for us to be everywhere in the vastness of our traditional territory all at once. So one of the things that I've been trying to get going, Indigenous Peoples Day and Native American Heritage Month. We have, my tribe has the town of Canton, Stoughton, Milton, and Sharon, all wanting to have us participating in their activities or their days of honor for their Indigenous people. So we want to bring these 4 different towns and communities together to celebrate together. And realistically, up until a couple of hundred years ago, they all were of the exact same community before they separated into their, different respective towns. Is that something where you feel like this might be a good fit?
I think that could be. And
Yes,
we
absolutely.
have,
And so, yeah,
that would be an October event,
October,
or
October,
yeah,
October and or November.
great. Yeah, that
yeah,
would be
we
the
could
next
definitely work
fiscal
with
year.
that.
Yeah,
We could
that's
definitely
great.
work with that.
Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you. Can we, are we ready to come off? Maybe not. I wasn't sure if we needed to see people. Um,
I can stop sharing for now.
in case we have questions. And also, not to put anyone on the
Right.
spot, but let's see, Quante, I saw you join us. Do you want to come on screen and introduce yourself? I don't know if she heard me. Maybe not. She might not have a good connection. Anyway, she has a fabulous business in Norwood that has been promoted on the morning show, and I just love to let her talk about what she does. But if she comes back, I'll put her on the spot again. Excellent. Any other questions? Or I hope that your wheels are just spinning and you're ideating and thinking about, oh my goodness, this is such a great opportunity. I would love to, whatever. And we're really excited to have conversations with you all. So if it's not something you want to talk about here on screen, please contact myself or Carrie. Talk to us over the next week, and we'd love to start to formulate and move these ideas towards implementation and planning. So it is a short window, but we are so confident that so many of you have already done some really important work that it won't be a real heavy lift to get some other events off in this window before the end of June. So
and it's a short window for this year, but we are looking for people for next year too. So if you've got something that requires some more planning, we can definitely talk about doing something next year.
Absolutely.
All right.
Eric, you had a question?
Just a comment. A while ago, I believe the Massachusetts tribe had created a dugout canoe. They carved a log into a canoe. Am I correct on that, please? Thomas?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay. I'm affiliated with the Glen Echo Park, and I was hoping, and I've been trying to get the tribe to launch their canoe in a ceremony. Probably the weather wouldn't be good for Indigenous People Day, but sometime more in the summer. I know you have land beside the park, which you're familiar with. So it would be a great way of kind of mixing the Stoughton community and whoever's around with the tribe. If you can work with that, I'd be very happy to see what I could do on my end.
Thank you very much. You and I are actually very, very closely on the same page about some things. And I think that I can offer you exponentially more than what you're looking for, but in that regard. Do you have my contact information?
I will connect you two by email.
Thank you.
That's great.
Thank
Yeah,
you. I
I mean,
appreciate it.
we were talking about a Machoon carving just a couple weeks ago, weren't we, Thomas? So
Yeah.
Eric's on to some ideas we've already been discussing. That's fascinating. Awesome.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
let's definitely get together, Eric.
Good.
Karen, I just point out there's a comment in the chat about Aura, who might have some interest in doing some events as well.
Okay, great.
Sounds like
Thank
she's
you.
having some connection challenges.
Is it something that she wants to come off mic on, or I've been in and out of the chat. But...
Hi, yeah, I'm on my phone now, so I have less capabilities. But yeah, I'll follow up with you via email. We can talk more about it.
Okay, that's great. Thanks, Aura. All right.
Great.
Anyone? Yeah. So, are we moving on to the next? Carrie, are you?
We'll move on. Okay. Share again. All right. We would like to have some facilitated discussions about what's going on in your communities. So we've tentatively set up 4 rooms geographically based on who we thought was coming tonight. And the rooms will be named this, so you don't have to remember. which room. But these are the two questions we'd like you to think about, which is, what has your town or neighborhood been doing to build community and social resilience? And what community issues would you like to address, and how? What's a priority for you and for your neighbors? And how can we support addressing those? So I'm again going to stop sharing, and I'm going to stop recording.
Awesome. So we've